Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Good.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What's
Yeah.
happening? What's happening
Lots
in B-Town?
in B-Town, in Brampton. Oh, have you checked out our new website, Quick Bite News?
No, I'm gonna have to.
Okay, please do. So, but lots to talk about. Yesterday, the province came out with some graphs that said that Peel, 3% of outbreaks are in restaurants, 4% are in gyms. Industrial workplaces 22%, and schools and daycare at 20. I guess with these numbers, will we be going back to the province and kind of demand, well, not demanding, that's a strong word, but asking the province to bring us back into stage three by November 7th?
So we had already communicated to the province that the data did not support the closure of restaurants and recreation. As you know, I've been in the media speaking about that. And frankly, I know the provincial moduling said that it's 3% restaurants. Our own medical officer of health did not say there. It did say emphatically there was not a single, not 3%, not a single outbreak in a restaurant setting in Peel region. He suspects that what the province is talking about is these may have been staff members from the kitchen that went home and got COVID-19. But in terms of customers in a dining area, we didn't have a single outbreak or forward COVID transmission to the public in any restaurant in all of Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. So when they closed them down, it was the data didn't support it. So I hope that the province will come forward with a plan to safely reopen restaurants and fitness facilities come November 6th, and we're going to continue to push for that.
Can I ask what your gut is telling you? Are we gonna be in stage three November 7th?
Listen, I think it's difficult to predict. I didn't think this decision to close restaurants and fitness facilities was warranted 3 weeks ago, and so will it continue in a week? Your guess is as good as mine on what the province is going to do. I hope that going forward it will be data driven.
Over the last couple of weeks, you've mentioned how incredible the compliance has been with the people in Brampton, people in Peel, and now that we see kind of the industrial workplaces, reaching up to 22%, is it time to get tough on them to kind of?
Well, no, and honestly, when we talk about workplaces, these are essential workers. It's not like they're being sloppy. They
Okay.
take on an enhanced risk. We have 8,500 people working in food processing. We've had outbreaks in food processing plants, but if they were not working, if they were not handling these foods that are coming from around the world, we wouldn't have many of our restaurants and many of our grocery stores wouldn't have food. We have 11,000 people working in transportation logistics, truckers going across the border and acquiring COVID-19, bringing it back to Canada. But if we didn't have our supply chain maintained, if truckers weren't going across the border, once again, we wouldn't have the traditional foods that we expect. Where do you think much of our food that's on grocery shelves comes from? It's truckers that bring them to Canada. You look at Amazon. We had a COVID outbreak there, and Amazon's responsible for 80% of the packaging in Canada out of their facility in Brampton. And so, if anything, I'm not asking them, I'm not blaming them or pointing fingers. I'm saying we should say thank you. These are unsung heroes. These are pandemic heroes, essential workers who know they take on a greater risk, but it's for the good of Canada.
In Quebec, there's about 200 gyms that say they're going to defy the stage two lockdown and open up no matter what. What would happen if this happened in Peel or Brampton? Because I know that it's a provincial order, but you guys have the officers, right? The bylaw officers.
Well, listen, I would have a lot of sympathy for them. I do think everyone should follow the provincial orders. I'm not encouraging people to disobey the law, but I struggle to understand why this decision was made when the data didn't support it. And so I think you're going to see a lot of fatigue, a lot of frustration with some of these provincial requirements when it's not data driven.
And I asked this to Mayor Crombie. earlier on in the pandemic, I think it was Windsor Essex, they split up into 2 regions to reopen. Would you be open for, kind of Mississauga and Brampton to open up in 2 different regions?
Well, we almost have identical dynamics, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Caledon's different, obviously. Caledon's more rural, but Mississauga and Brampton have very similar numbers. Brampton has more COVID cases, but Mississauga has more severe cases, and so there's been almost 3 times the amount of fatalities in Mississauga than Brampton, but we have, I think, 20% more cases. And so I think there's very comparable dynamics of COVID. If anything, I would say I hope that Peel is delinked from Toronto, because I think the Toronto environment is different than that in Peel. In Toronto, they had problems with the nightclubs and restaurants, where we didn't have that in Mississauga or Brampton.
This weekend, it was announced that the province is going to support 41 new additional beds at the Brampton Civic Hospital. Additionally, Premier Ford made a vague statement regarding the expansion of Peel Memorial into a full hospital. What are your thoughts on this?
He said very clearly, we're going to get that hospital built. We're going to get shovels in the ground, and we better, because we're decades behind in building the healthcare infrastructure in Brampton. Governments of all stripes, PC, Liberal, NDP, have failed the city of Brampton. The health dollars are not equitable in the province. The provincial average for beds is 2.19 beds per 1,000 residents province-wide. In Brampton, it's less than 1 bed per 1,000. So we need to fix this. You deserve the same quality healthcare wherever you live in the province. It should not we should not be shortchanged. We all pay the same provincial taxes and deserve the same funding back for healthcare dollars. And I'm glad the Premier made this commitment. And I'm going to continue to pester him every day until I actually see him there with the shovel in the ground, with the forklifts. I want to see that construction as soon as possible.
Have you bought him that ceremonial shovel yet? Like, have you told him that we have the shovel?
I've told them we've got the land, we're ready to go, and I want to see him there with a hard hat on. So he knows. He jokes that I'm going to be the person that pesters him every day until we get this built.
What else did you talk to Doug Ford about this week?
Well, this week we were talking about COVID. We were talking about the hospital, the inequitable funding when it comes to healthcare.
Okay. And I always like to end the conversation on, I guess, a better note, but I mean, what was your takeout food that you took out this week? What restaurants did you visit?
So I went to a patio yesterday, actually. It's a little bit chilly, but I wanted to support our local restaurants. Frenzarelli's is a longtime establishment in downtown Brampton, and I went there with Councillor Santos, Councillor Vicente, Babu Nagalinga, my chief of staff, and I'm encouraging everyone to go out and support the patios. The patio season is going to get a little colder, so while it's still bearable and you don't need to wear leggings and a hat and gloves, try go out and enjoy a patio, support a local restaurant. These 28 days are tough, and please be generous and support a local restaurant.
Let me ask you this then. You brought up a good point. Are you extending the patio season in Brampton?
So we extended that, and we did so, but that's not the solution. We extended it to give restaurants whatever they can to succeed, but I'm not naive enough to think that people are going to be going to patios in January. I want indoor dining opened up again. And if it needs to be an earlier closing hour, lower capacity limits, then I'll take whatever regulations public health requires. I just want to get these open because outdoor dining in January does not work in Canada.
Well, Doug Ford's presser at 1:30 should be very interesting. Mayor Brown, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy Friday. See you next week.
Okay.